So you guys, this is Don Costa. He is an awesome flipper. He's flipped thousands of houses in the Central Valley. What else? He's been through one full market cycle. We're about to go through another one. He's going to share his journey about how he kind of got started, what it was like. I really am interested to know before the first market cycle, during the market cycle, and then what it was like afterwards. And like what was going on in your head, because I feel like the hardest thing of entrepreneurship is just, it's all up here, staying positive and everything else.
Yeah, the last one, right? The last one, I was a fool. I started in knocking on doors in Fresno, pre-foreclosures in 2003, driving in my car, and in the last one, I made so much money. I think like a lot of people right out of the gate that I didn't think it was ever going to end, and so I went into it with all the confidence and arrogance, and you can put me in any city and I'm going to make 10 grand in 1 week, and I'm going to rock, and I got my butt handed to me. So I got my butt handed to me in a big way. And a lot of it was just because I didn't act fast enough. I didn't take things seriously. And I didn't run a real business. So that time around I got schooled and I went into a really, really dark place for a long time. This time around, I'm just much more, I'm, obviously not arrogant. I'm much more prepared on like what the possibilities could be. We don't know. I mean, we can come out of this thing smelling like roses. But at least I'm making preparations just in case we're not. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So what did you do before real estate? Like who's Don Costa before he's Don Costa?
So I've always been an entrepreneur. I think like most of us, in this business, I've always been an entrepreneur. Before real estate, I owned cell phone stores in Las Vegas. I was a bouncer, a bartender in different. I worked at Black Angus as a bartender and a bouncer. I was also general manager for Black Angus here in Fresno, which just closed, I think, a few months ago. I've worked in, God, you name it, a number of nightclubs in town through my years as a bouncer or a bartender, and. So yeah, I mean that's basically it. An entrepreneur in the restaurant business for most of my life, doing different jobs in construction. Worked up in Alaska for a summer, as in the fisheries and the fish plants, and just doing crazy things, traveling around, but always wanted something more. Always wanted something better. I every time I set a goal, I achieved it, which is crazy. Like I put my mind to something, I made it happen, but it was never fulfilling, and I wanted more because everything that kind of like become the general manager of Black Angus, it was still chains, right? I was still chained to a clock or to a building, and so it never felt fulfilling. I left that job and went and opened cell phone stores in Las Vegas, but Vegas as a 20-year-old, I mean, man, you don't sleep, you don't eat. So after about a year there, I realized that I needed to do something a little different. But that's basically it. Just always on the hunt until I found real estate. And real estate, I think, like like a lot of us, it's fulfilling. Real estate's my widget. I'm an entrepreneur first, but it's real estate fulfilled that need. I'm about the hunt. I think. Some people are about the money, some people are about the hunt. I'm about the hunt, and the money's kind of secondary. And for real estate, it just kind of clicked because I really liked helping homeowners, having conversations, trying to get the win, as far as, against competition in the market. And it just really fulfilled something in me. And I felt like I found my place.
Awesome. So what was your business like before the first crash? Like, was it anywhere near the scale that you have it now?
I ran a pretty big business then. As far as volume of real estate transactions, not necessarily, but, we were still doing a fairly high volume. Like I said, I get in the car and knock on doors, and pretty soon I had door knockers working for me. I did some direct mail back then as well. It's crazy because I used to pull my list off dial up. Like you'd have to like dial in. And it was this like rinky dink program on your desktop that you had to, you'd pull your list and I would do direct mail that way. But we started, it was one of those things. It's like, well, we're flipping houses and somebody's buying it and they need a loan. So we started a property management company, and then now they want to sell the house that they bought from us, and they need an agency. So we started a real estate company, and then they need property management. So we started a property management company. So I ended up having like 40 some odd agents, 3 offices, one in San Jose, Selma, and Fresno. We were doing property management, loans, real estate, flipping houses, and doing it. So it became a fairly large organization. And then I started other products. I got into, because I was making more money than I knew what to do with. So I started other products. I opened a restaurant, nightclub, Twist Restaurant and Lounge. I don't know if somebody listening to this has heard of that. I was the person behind writing a lot of the checks for that, and just had so many things going on. And that's really, I think, I wasn't focused on the core competency. I was trying to do too much at once, and I wasn't a good leader. And essentially that's why I fell. But wasn't so much that we got big that I fell. It was just that I had so many things going on, and I didn't have the right pieces in place, the right people in place, the right processes in place to just be able to make the right decisions, when things happen the way they happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how anybody would have seen that coming. Chris remembers Twist.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was a pretty popular place. So we did well for as far as the crowd goes. We always had these battles with the city, which that's a whole different story. But one of the reasons why we closed. But yeah, it was a cool place.
So what could you have done? Like 3 things you could have done to save your business. I feel like one of them sounds like you got distracted a little bit. And you're just like, well, I got money. I might as well spend it on this. Open that up. I remember you telling me about like a sunglass line,
a baby bottle. I mean, so the things that I could have done to save my business, one, just be a better leader. I think, that's being humble. Let me step back, being more humble and being more realistic. One of the things that really kind of gets me when I watch social media a lot, I'm out in social media, I'm watching a lot of it, I'm doing a lot of it, is that arrogance. And some of it's perceived arrogance. It's not, when I meet some of these people, it's not real arrogance. But it's that arrogance that it's never going to end. And that is really what hurt me. First and foremost, I had this arrogance that everything I touched turned to gold and it was never going to end. And what happens is when you have that arrogance in anything you do, you don't prepare properly. You don't work properly. You don't do the work, right? So, if you're born with a great physique, you take it for granted. Maybe you don't go to the gym as much as you should, type of thing. Yeah. So that's where the failure creeps in, where your competition creeps in, where like if you have cracks in something and the water creeps in and pretty soon the crack gets bigger and it starts to rot, right? That's arrogance causes a lot of that. Arrogance is that crack. And so that was number one. And so that kept me from being a good leader. It kept me from trusting my team because I thought I knew best. It kept me from accepting reality. And so all those things come into my failure. And, the second time around, one of the things I did is I made sure I had people in place I could trust. Like I put people in place I could trust and I got out of their way. Like it's amazing because, in my organization now, I don't look at the properties. I don't make decisions on the properties we buy anymore. So when somebody sends me a lead, it's like I just send it off to somebody else. Somebody else makes the decision, and I'm good with that. And what happens is if I'm busy that day, and it gets in the right hands, the decision gets made. If it doesn't, if it comes into my pocket and I'm busy, it doesn't get made, right? So, those things really, that's running a real business, and that's one of the reasons why I know that this time around we're going to fare a lot better.
Awesome. Besides leadership and really delegation and business building, what else is something you wish you would have known at that point in time that you know now?
Oh man, if I knew now what I knew then, or I knew then what I knew now. I think that opportunity is always before us. I think that God, how do I answer that question? Back then, I think, obviously in 2009, like when 2009 happened, I stuck my head in the sand and I was very fearful. I was very scared of real estate. That real estate destroyed me. I wish I didn't get back into real estate after I lost everything until 2012. I wish I'd have got back in 2009. Like I wish I would have. And now it's like, so preparation for a lot of people are scared of a downturn. I've spent the last however many years preparing for a downturn. Like we had a conversation in here in the office and everybody's like, well, what happens if it all falls apart? And I'm like, that's the best thing that ever happened to us. Like as a real estate company, I don't want to wish for that because I don't want to wish that on the world. But if the real estate world falls apart, like that's the best thing that ever happened to our business. And so I wish I'd have known that then. Like I wish I'd have known that was that failure in my life, that failure in the market was a huge opportunity. And so people need to be looking at this like that as well. You know, there's going to be a fallout in the real estate market, whether it's in the next 3 months or the next 3 years, nobody knows. But at some point it's going to happen because it always does. And when that does happen, you need to be ready for that. And so not being arrogant going into it, thinking it's never going to end, being real that at some point it's going to end, but that end is not a bad thing. It's a beginning. That's what I wish I'd have known.
Okay. And so now I kind of want to transition to like the family aspect, because I know at the beginning, you and your family, like when you first lost everything, you had your family. What's that? I mean, work-life balance is the weirdest thing to talk about. What was it, and what has it transitioned into as you've became more of a magician instead of the mule? You have people working for you, the process is in place.
Well, I'm probably, I don't know if I'm rare or not. A lot of people will talk about lifestyle, and they want a lifestyle business. My business is my hobby. Like that's one of the things that allows me to really compete. I think in an industry like this is I'll generally outwork most people because I love what I do. Like if I chose golfing, or, building my business better, chasing deals, doing that kind of stuff, I'm gonna choose chasing deals all day long. You put me on the golf course about the 8th or 9th hole, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be done. So, and I want to be back at doing what I do best. So, but family, family time, the freedom of family time, now is very important to me, and being able to enjoy what I built with my family and go to the beach, go camping for a week and not have to turn my phone on. So that's really, it's like I'm either doing what I love to do and passionate about, which is putting out content and making my business better, and or spending time with my family and my kids. So one of the cool things I'm gonna be doing here in the near future, I've already kind of teased a little bit, is that my son is gonna be 16 this summer.
Yep.
And I'm going to teach him the business. We're in the process. He's in the process of learning right now. I'm reading books and stuff like that. We're going to do a whole relaunch of the Rookie Playbook podcast series where it's going to be him and I, and I'm going to go through and he's going to be asking questions and I'm going to be teaching him, and we're going to be documenting all of it. And I've even got this kind of wild idea of taking him to a lot of the people you and I know, in the real estate community, and having him learn directly from them and documenting that. And so that's something that I get to do with my son. As a father, being able to pour my passion into him. It's not something that he's avoiding. He actually wants to do it, and it gives me an opportunity to take him around the country and introduce him to really cool, important people, and open up doors for him to be able to do cool things. And that's exciting. So see, family is important. Family right behind you.
I got my little Paris running around the house.
So, but yeah, so this, that's the cool thing about doing what we do and having that freedom, right? You got your kid running around the house. I get to spend time with my boys doing the things that they're passionate about. So it's fun.
And that's awesome. When you told me that, what was it, like 6 months ago, that was what you're going to do with your son, I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That'll be an awesome opportunity. Over the last 12 months, what has been your biggest failure?
Oh, my Lord. That's a hard question to answer. I think it's a mindset thing for me, because I don't look at I look at failures the same way as most people. I more look at them as lessons. So letting your guard down, I think I still think, even though I've learned the lessons, I think letting my guard down, taking things for granted, and letting arrogance seep in a little bit is definitely a failure. I brought in some people in my organization, over the summer that, and I let my guard down a little bit, and I handed things off to them that they weren't ready to be handed off to, and so kind of relearning, like, you still have to build your team. No matter what level you are, you still have to invest into them. So maybe that would be one, but that's more, again, more of a lesson. Like I look at it like, okay, well, that's not how I'll do it next time. So, I took my foot off the gas a little bit, as far as the real estate stuff in the market in the last probably 6 months, which is definitely changing this month. So that's not necessarily a failure, I would say, but having to regain some momentum definitely, is eye opening. So, I don't know, I don't know that I have any failures or regrets in the last 12 months. A lot of good lessons.
So could we talk about your business? We'll go a little bit more into business wise instead of life wise. Your business, a lead comes in. What's the process start to end, like rough? You don't have to give away every aspect of your business. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, we have people that answer the phones, since for a number of years. A lead
And is
comes
that
in.
in-house or have you like outsourced it?
So up until last week, it was in-house. So, we had somebody in-house who answered all of our calls. We ended up with like 6 people on the phones at one point, answering phones, doing outbound follow-up, closing deals. We close everything over the phone at this point in time. And last week we actually hired 4 VAs, and now they're doing a lot of the lead follow up and outbound cold calling, outbound and inbound answering. They're in training right now for that. So, out of 4 we hired, 3 will probably stick. 2 will be really good on follow up, and 1 looks like they're gonna be really good on inbound. So, and then I'm gonna do another round. I'll probably end up with about 8 VAs when it's all said and done. So,
And
yeah.
how has that dropped your overhead significantly?
With the VAs, that's a fantastic question. So at the end of the day, basically, I'm paying a little bit of a premium for VAs. I'm not paying the $4 or $5 VA. I'm using a company
You're
called
using
Rocket
rough.
Station, yeah, and paying a little more because they come somewhat seasoned, right? Like they're not completely green, which I really like, and then they help you manage the process, help you with the hiring. But I'm paying. I can get 3 VAs for. Well, actually 2, let me see here. So they're about $10 an hour. I pay $15 an hour for my normal people. So I can get 3 VAs for the cost of 2 in my organization. So essentially I get 1 extra person for every 2 people. I get a third, so that's definitely going to drop my overhead. But what it really does is it's not so much a drop in the overhead I was looking for. I was looking for a simplification in the process, because what was happening was, originally we had calls coming in and somebody who had booked the calls, and then we had acquisitions, boots on the ground, go out into the market and go to the house. And I'm in a lot of markets. In fact, my dispo guy moved to Tennessee. I'm sure you saw that, Justin. Most people in Fresno know him. And so we're going to open up the Midwest. Like, we're already putting our claws into Tennessee, and we're going to hit several markets in Tennessee, and then I'm going to go up the Midwest. So, and then I'm at like 8 or 9 markets here on the West Coast. So, we had like 8 acquisitions people. And that's to try to do marketing and try to keep all of them fed with appointments. It's a lot of moving parts. And so we started looking at, okay, well, how do we simplify that? Okay, let's start closing over the phone. And so we started doing that a little over a year ago, and dialed down till we had no acquisitions people. It was all in-house. Well, my in-house people we tried doing lead management and then hand off to acquisitions, and that was a little rough. So internally, so then we did lead management, like basically they answered the phones and they closed. But that and follow up and outbound, just it's a lot to ask somebody to do. So in the simplification of the process, it's like, okay, well, how do I have an army of people just handle everything that's coming at us with the follow-up? Because our follow-up game is probably better than anybody in the market. Now, I'm going to hands down say it because I want you to try to compete with me. But our follow-up game is 80 to 90% of what we bring in at this point in time, contract-wise, is follow-up. So, 20,000 plus leads in our database just from the last 24 months. And so we need at least 2 or 3 people on follow-up. We need at least 2 or 3 people on cold calling. We need at least 2 people, maybe 3 on answering incoming calls. And so if I can dial that in, then literally the people that I have internally, all they have to do is close deals. And then I just have to have 1 or 2 superstar closers, and I got it made.
Right. And they can make a good living.
And they can make a fantastic living, and all they have to do is focus on closing. Like, everything else is handled for them. And so it's just in my mind, when I'm building an organization, it's like, how do I start removing moving parts? It's like, we're building courses, right? right now, and we have some things going on in the back end, and I'm having these conversations, and I'm like, we're building a membership site, and I'm like, well, this membership site, there's like 5 steps to get to point A, and I'm like, how do we make 5 steps 2 steps? Because when I hand it to somebody, I want to remove the opportunity for error.
Yep.
And when you're systematizing your business, you what you're looking for is ways to declutter your operation. And so that's what we've been doing over the last couple of years. Is each time we get a dialed in process, I go back in and break it and go, okay, how can we make it simpler? How can we make it simpler? How can we make it simpler? Because at the end of the day, it's all it is ROI on the dollar and ROI on time. And so, and just one other thing I'll share is like, I have mapped out in my organization every dollar somebody touches. So if you all you do is answer the phones, I know I pay you X a year and you touch Y a year. Like I had a guy I paid $34,000 one year, and he was responsible for touching $500,000 in revenue in my company. I know that. I got that dialed in. So, and it maybe he touches it, acquisition touches it, and dispo touches it, but I know that each one of them had a responsibility in that dollar earned. And so it's like, how do I simplify the process down to maximize that person's time so they can bring in more dollars? And that's how I look at my whole organization.
Wow. All right. That is awesome. So we have it come in. Sorry about that. It comes in, it gets live answered, and then it's passed off to the acquisition guy. How are you guys disqualifying? Right. So it comes in for a lot. Me, if they don't want to do business in 90 days and they don't really have any motivation, we won't like, okay, they're done, but like we'll put them on a follow-up automatically. Like they'll get screened. If they aren't really ready to do anything, they automatically get pushed into a follow-up. They'll get touched the next month to see if anything's happening.
Yeah. So we're a little more aggressive than that. I'll give you that. We're a little bit more aggressive than that. And in the sense that we're going to have deeper conversations to get to, is there underlying motivation, there that a lot of people may like, how do I put this? Want to answer this right. So a lot of people will hear that they're not ready to do something in 90 days. And if you dig into the conversation a little deeper, sometimes you'll realize that you can actually move to the finish line a little faster. So first we're going to probe a little deeper to see if that's an opportunity. And then we're going to be a little bit more aggressive in follow-up. What most people will put on a 30-day, we're probably going to do a 2-week. So, and we're going to spend more time building relationships. So, but I'll tell you, like we call dead. We call deads. If somebody comes in and says, basically, go to hell, F off, take me off your list, I never want to hear you again, go die in a dark, dreary hole. We're going to still follow up with you.
Yeah.
So, we're hyper aggressive. Huh?
How often are you touching them? I try and touch them like every 3 months.
Oh, probably every 30 days. we're texting, we're RVMing, we're cold calling. Like we'll download our database and we'll put it in a dialer and we'll just have somebody cold call it. Yeah. And we'll just go through everything. So we're touching it multiple times from multiple different angles. And what's cool about our operation is you'd be amazed at how many people think, because we're hitting you from different directions, that we're different companies.
Right.
Yeah. And so, they don't even realize is the same company, but so we'll hit them from like 50 different directions, and we'll hit them often. And yeah, so we're super, super aggressive about that. But again, like I always share this, like last October, we did 22 contracts in October. 19 of them were from follow-up, from several months before, 6 months before type of thing.
Awesome. So we got that, and then it gets passed over to acquisitions after. I mean, do you know how many touches it takes for you to get a deal? You're a KPI guy.
So as far as when you're talking about touches for direct mail or touches for the call, the follow-up?
Let's like follow-up.
That's a fantastic question to say how many touches it take in follow-up. So when we do our average days in basically from the initial call before they go into follow-up sequence is about 14 days to the contract. In follow-up, that's a little bit harder to gauge because it's a little bit more random, Mm-hmm. So we have contracts we get sometimes up to 2 years later. We have contracts we get, just a few months later. So, I don't even with direct mail, I think the touches concept is overblown, and this is just my opinion, but really when you're marketing, you're throwing out a net to a certain degree, or you're throwing out bait, and you're looking for the one person to put their hand up. So you go to a pond and you know that there's fish in that pond, but you don't know which fish is hungry. And so at the end of the day, which fish is going to bite your hook out of the fish in the pond, to the ones that are hungry, to the ones that bite, it's random. It's completely random.
Mhm.
It's, did I put my hook in the right spot with the right bait at the right moment that fish just happened to be there? And it's the same thing with cold calling, direct mail, follow-up. It really is random. And so to try to, it would be deceiving for me to say you have to touch them 6 times on average to get a deal. I don't think there's any truth to that. I think that once you realize how random the whole process really is, and that really, yeah, really all you're trying to do is find likelihood of somebody putting their hand up, but who puts their hand up is random. You're gonna find that you're gonna become much more aggressive in, and I don't mean aggressive in a bad thing. I just mean, I guess, hungrier in your approach, as far as, I got to get on the phone and make these calls. I got to get that direct mail out. I got to get these things out in a consistent manner, because consistency is really what's important.
Awesome. And so who gets an offer? Because my biggest thing is I don't like giving out offers because it blows away my leverage. Like once I give them an offer, there's no reason for them to talk to me. And they're like, what the hell is this offer? Like, I don't want to do business with you, because that's just the way we have to buy things. And so at a point, like, it gets qualified. And then if they're really serious, then we'll shoot an offer, email it over, take them through the process, and try and get it closed. If not, I tell my people, like, we don't want to give them an offer yet until, like, we know there's serious motivation and reason to sell.
We're essentially on the same boat on that. And no, we really avoid giving offers to anybody who won't give us a number. In a perfect world, if I'm the one doing all the acquisitions, if you haven't given me a number and I haven't gotten to a problem that you need to solve, and in a way that I can solve it and how I can paint that picture for you, then you're not going to get an offer. In a perfect world, right? Can I say that my acquisitions people follow that to the T? I think like a lot of us who run businesses that have employees, sometimes they get a little bit over anxious and they'll throw offers out a lot sooner than they should. So that's the practical reality. But in my core belief and in how we train, the person has got to, we got to know that's an offer that we're going to be able to actually have a reasonable conversation with them, or we're not going to give it,
instead of just throwing, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? What are you going to give me?
And I've shared the story before, but it's like, I remember one time I chased my tail on a property. I went out and did all the work, did all the homework from somebody. He's like, just give me an offer. And we chased our tail, did all the pre-work, came back with an offer. And he's like, it's not enough. And I was like, okay, well, where do we need to be? We're too far off. Click. It's like, well, right. It's like, I could have given you, my offer could have been $1 million. It wasn't gonna be good enough. It's like, I need, to me, it's like, if they tell me they want retail, that's still a number. If they put a number on it, they're committed to selling. That's a conversation I can start to dial into. Mm-hmm. If you're just too busy, like, making me chase a number, you're not serious. That's where, we're going to go into some kind of follow-up.
Awesome. Work-life balance. And so dispo wise, is Justin the only one who handles dispo?
He is right now, but because he's now in Tennessee, he will be handling pretty much that area, and I'm actually bringing somebody in to handle the West Coast.
The dispo out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So explain, what's the tool you can't live without in your business? I know for me, it's smartphone. I like it a lot better than CallRail. I know CallRail is really good for your direct mail pieces. Mm-hmm. We don't do a lot of that, but smartphone has made my job, just my life, easier. So much less.
We use smartphone. I like the call quality better than smartphone. Than CallRail. The CallRail has better reporting, obviously, for KPIs and stuff like that. But if you got your business dialed in, you can get that information anyway. Smartphone has better call quality in my book, overall. So, but the one of the tools I feel like we can't live without in our organization is Slack. It's a huge communication tool for us. We do everything from once we get a property in contract, we put it in Slack, and we take it all the way through transaction coordination to the purchase or the wholesale, through property management, project management, if we're rehabbing it, and then to the close, and all communication goes in there. So we have documents, pictures, who approves this, who approves that, all in Slack. So that way there's no miscommunication. That's been huge for my organization.
That's awesome. And CallRail is just a cloud phone system that we use. It's like CallRail. We use it, and that's where all of our phone calls go out of. They all get recorded. And then Slack is just project management software kind of, and it's just a really good communication app.
It's a communication tool. It's like a WhatsApp too. WhatsApp is, I think, probably similar to it. If people are familiar with one and not the other, but you can set channels. So each property is a channel, and we communicate in that channel. And then we only invite, if there's an acquisitions manager involved, they get access to that channel, and so they don't see channels they're not involved in. And so there's control of communication, but it's documented communication. That's what's huge. Years ago, we had a situation where it was like, we got a bill from a pest company we never use. And I was like, who approved this? And nobody could answer it. I don't remember approving it. And now it's like, that's solved because we can just scroll through Slack and see who approved it. It's right there. And so basically it's the old communication log that real estate companies and mortgage companies used to use back in the day. It's just digital instead of written.
Who manages your Slack? That's one thing we run into in both businesses is the putting everything into Slack, setting up all the channels and everything else. Do you have a VA handling that?
Our transaction coordinator handles setting up the channel and the initial, like we have a template, like we set the channel up the same way every time with the same information, and the property address, contact information, what we're purchasing it for, what our percentage of ROI is, what our anticipated rehab is going to be, like all the documentation's there, and then everybody that's involved in that channel that has something to say or ask about it just chimes in all the way through from that point on.
Awesome. So Don doesn't fail. What do you invest in? I know you told me you like self-storage.
We do self-storage stuff. I got some money in a like a aerospace fuel thing, and then residential stuff as well. So a mix of different things.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for Don? That's about all I have. I like this live, so you guys can ask whatever you want. And where can people find you online, Don?
At the Real Don Costa for Instagram. I'm all over Facebook. I got a page, Flip Talk Podcast with Don Costa. We do a weekly roundtable. I'll be doing Fridays in the Fly with different people. And then of course the podcast you can find in iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you listen to podcasts for Flip Talk, so yeah, I mean, I see right here, you guys are the reason why sellers are so angry. No, exactly. We borderline harass them. We don't harass them to the point of being angry. At least we try not to.
And then, so what do you invest in? Connect with you online. Any promo codes you want to shout out or anything else? Who do you use to skip trace?
Well, right now, Skip Force. If you go to fliptalk.com/skip, you can check out Skip Force, and what they have is really cool. Not discounting anybody else, but they have carrier level data, which it actually tells you like what time of day people are on the highest usage of their phone, which is, if they're on the highest usage in the afternoon, you're going to want to cold call them in the afternoon. If they're on the highest usage in the morning, you want to cold call them in the morning. Right. And that I think that information is a big game changer.
That's insane. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah.
That is an absolute game changer. Does it tell you who the carrier is, if it's AT&T or Verizon?
It may. I got to go back and double check. I haven't looked that far into it. I just know that it tells you like what time of day to call. So,
wow.
Yeah.
How many leads do you purchase a month? Do you buy all yours at the beginning of the year and just call it a day?
Pretty much different. I mean, just depends on the list. I update them once a year, so I don't want to say it in the beginning of the year, but once a year we'll update like our. It just depends on the list we're mailing to. But just to put it in perspective, between 2018 and 2019, we did a combined total of about 2 million postcards. So now, granted, we mailed a couple lists multiple times, but I just want to put it in perspective. Like I'm not playing. I'm taking it very seriously. We did 1.2 million postcards in 2018 and just under 800,000 postcards in 2019. And I'll be kicking back up here. I actually, like I said, we took the foot off the gas here over the last few months, but like literally, I think we're up to about 50,000 postcards a month right now, coming out of COVID-19. And we're going to be back up to about 100,000 a month plus here in the near future.
What is your response rate? Like 0.001%?
It's like 0.04%. It depends on the list, the time of year, and the card we use. Anywhere from about a 0.04 to about a 0.08.
Okay,
so under 1%.
What texting platform do you use?
Launch Control. If you go to fliptalk.com/launch, you can check out Launch Control. I think they actually look. All the texting platforms that are TCP/IP compliant or TCPA whatever compliant. They're great. Just find the one you like best. But what's cool about Launch is Aaron really has understood the sales psychology behind texting. It's not just send a text and get a response. There's a whole sales process behind it. And they built the platform out to, kind of work through that sales process. And they even have some trainings around it. So fliptalk.com/launch, check out Launch Control. It's a great program.
And then what is the number one tip for adjusting in the current market? It's a good one.
Right now, every indicator to me says that the real estate market should fall out. The bottom should just fall out. But what I'm actually seeing is most markets are staying pretty hot, and buyers are being pretty aggressive. Inventory is really, really low. My advice would be prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and just be ready. Because we don't know what the long-term implications are going to be financially. I know lenders are tightening things up. Credit card companies are reducing credit limits on people out of the blue with no rhyme or reason. And a lot of employers aren't going to be bringing people back. There's a lot of things to be concerned about economically that could really crater the real estate market. So, but right now, again, like I'm seeing, markets are hot. We're moving product pretty significantly. So I would just prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Move forward. Make sure that you're not getting into long-term projects. Make sure you're not stuck in something that's going to be 8 months or a year long if you're going to be rehabbing. Buy better, buy smarter, utilize the current situation to, reposition yourself in your sales strategy and buy better. Just be ready. Don't get arrogant and think that this is not going to end and that nothing happened to the real estate market. I think that would be a mistake. Be prepared to get blindsided by something bad. And then if it doesn't happen, we're all in a better place.
Yep. And then, Don don't play.
Don don't play.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I don't think anyone else has any more questions. Again, if you want to follow Don, find him online. He's at The Real Don Costa online. You can follow him on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at StratDaddy, 2 T's, I only put on 1 Y, 2 Y's. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Winning Move Podcast. I hope it helps you make all the right moves in your life and business. Please make sure to go like and subscribe on any podcast platform that you're listening to, and make sure to go follow me on Instagram at StratDaddy. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon.